Hey everybody, welcome to Shooting the with Yankee. As always, I'm Yankee, so let's start shooting. Tonight's topic is there such a thing as a semi-auto that's as reliable as a revolver? You know, if you have a good semi-auto, can it possibly be as dependable as that good old wheel gun? And the answer is going to be no, but yes. And, kind of yes, but no. Because here's the thing. You can have a semi-automatic gun that as a machine is 100% reliable, almost never fails. It is good to go every time you pull the trigger. The mechanism is robust. The mechanism is sturdy. The mechanism is reliable. The physics of it are perfect. Everything's in sync. The gun works perfectly. That can be true. Same thing with a revolver. The mechanism is, near perfect. The mechanism is super reliable. The chances of something going wrong with the mechanism itself is next to none. But here's the big difference between the two. Even if you take a semi-automatic that is 100% reliable, never fails. Let's say this gun from the day it comes out of the box till the day you hand it down to your grandchild or whatever, it fires thousands upon thousands, if not tens of thousands of rounds, never fails once. Well, that mechanism is very reliable, just like a revolver. But here's the thing. It will still be prone to ammo failures. And ammo failures are more common than actual mechanical failures in a gun. And in a semi-auto, if you have a round that fails, you got to recycle the gun. You got to reset things. In a revolver, you just pull the trigger again. So in a bad situation, which one would you have to do? Which would you rather have to do? Just pull the trigger again? Or, cycle the slide, maybe drop the magazine, put it back, all that stuff. Because of that right there, that thing right there, that means that revolver is more likely to serve you in a bad situation than that semi-auto, even though both mechanisms are near perfect. Same thing with, even though the mechanism of that gun is fine, magazines are often the problem that cause a failure. Springs wear out, followers go bad. All kinds of things can happen. Things can go wrong with the magazine. It can come unseated, not seat properly to begin with, causing failures in your gun and your gun to not be there when you need it. Revolvers don't have magazines, so therefore magazine failures don't affect revolvers at all. So when you look at it on paper, the mechanisms can both be equally reliable. It's not likely that a semi-auto is going to be as reliable as a revolver, but it can be to a point where you're not going to tell the difference. However, it is susceptible to things that the revolver is not susceptible to. So therefore, also, you can't limp wrist a revolver. You can limp wrist a semi-auto. User error is far more likely to cause a problem with a semi-automatic than with a revolver. Therefore, even though you can say mechanically both these guns are within the margin of error of each other to where they're both nearly perfect, simply because that revolver is more prone to issues, user error, etc., or that semi-auto is more prone to user error, etc., than the revolver is, well, in the end, the revolver still wins when it comes to reliability. So the answer to the question is technically yes, but in reality, no. No semi-auto is reliable as a good revolver. And let me see if there's anybody that agrees with me or disagrees with me over here. Let's get over here and see what's coming in. Johnny Mandrick said, given the main failure mode is magazine and extractor, he brought up extractor, I'm not sure they could be. Well, that's the thing. Even if it was mechanically super sound, even if they made that extractor out of unobtainium that never jammed, never wore away, never chipped, never broke, still, bad ammo, magazines, whatever, it still makes a difference. There's a factor there that the revolver is not subject to. Now, you do get some things for that in semi-autos. Well, it has more rounds. It ejects them for you. You don't have to unload and reload as much as you do with a revolver, and you can reload more quickly. So you get things for that, but you're willing to accept that, hey, this gun is 0.05% less reliable, but I'm getting things that make it worth it. So when people say, well, reliability is issue number one, and they're carrying a semi-auto, well, they're really not saying the truth there. That's obviously not their first priority. So kind of agreeing with me there, I'd say. Mr. Furley says SIG P226, Glock 17, H&K VP9. I wouldn't say the VP9. The M&P9, no malfunctions. He's saying he's had no malfunctions with them. And all of those except for the VP9, I would say, yeah, I have hardly ever seen malfunctions with any of them except for magazine and ammo. And that makes it, like I said, the mechanism themselves, those guns are super reliable. Unfortunately, magazines and ammo are not as reliable as the guns. But I wouldn't put the HKVP9 there. I've seen that gun fail more times than I'm comfortable with. A lot of times user error, stuff like that, but still. Kevin chimed in here and said, Hail Phil, CZ75, very reliable gun. Beretta 9296, very reliable guns. SIG P226, also very reliable guns. And I would say that you do have the possibility out of the box of any one of those guns mechanically itself being every bit as reliable as a revolver because they're very well made. But in the end, they're still going to have issues that revolvers don't. They're going to have advantages revolvers don't, but issues revolvers don't. Paul B says, Hail Phil. And remember, everybody, if you want to be a Philistine, you want to join the Church of Phil, which is obviously not a cult, by the way. Phil is very pro-gun, and people that follow Phil, he expects them to also be very self-reliant, very pro-gun. So if you want to join the cult of Phil, I sell Phil merchandise over on my website, and all you got to do is buy one of those items. And that'll get you put on the scroll that we'll be doing at the end of the videos. From as soon as I get a scroll ready and we go, you'll be listed at the end of my videos like the Save the 40s people are now. But that's kind of runs its course. I'll put a link in the upper corner of this video. Just click the upper corner and you should be able to find the link to go over and buy that kind of stuff if you'd like. But he said, simple answer, no. He said, Hail Phil, simple answer, no. John Baloney Jr., haven't seen him in a little while. Said, I'll put my HKP 2000 against a revolver any day. If you are a smart owner, you replace magazine springs when they show signs of softening. Well, yes, you should if you're a smart owner. It takes a long time to wear out a magazine spring, but it can be done. It takes a lot of compressions and decompressions, but it can happen. And sometimes you might not catch it. You don't got to worry about catching it with a revolver. Not as likely you'll miss it. But that gun is HKP 2000, super reliable gun. Most guns made these days are what I would call reliable, but guns like the HKP 2000, they get into the revolver level of reliability. You just got to worry about bad ammo and a bad magazine, or like I said, user error. Sometimes it's hard to user error a revolver unless, I don't know, you really mess up and you end up with it lodged in your ass or something. That's about the only way I think you can mess up with a revolver. And don't say that can't happen. It can happen. I'm not saying I've seen it personally, but I'm saying it can happen. Danny Pennant, Pint. Revolvers fail. Autos need a slap or a strip. Well, they can both fail catastrophically. Whether the odds of that happening are high or not depends on, the quality of the gun. But still, if you looked at catastrophic failures, if you only looked at catastrophic failures and you wanted to say, well, see, revolvers, when they fail, it's catastrophic. Well, you're still going to see that more often with a semi-auto because you got more moving, uncontrolled parts. You're going to see things like trigger bars break. You're going to see kabooms. You're going to see rail issues. You're going to see all of those things way more than you see the similar issues in a revolver. 1-to-1 or per capita of number of guns existing, you're going to see more catastrophic failures with semi-autos than you are with revolvers, period. So yeah, sometimes a semi-auto fail can be fixed with a tap or a rack, but the revolver won't need that. So it's still messing up more. Adam Jacobs said, you can have something get caught up in the cylinder and cause it to stick or seize up. Example, improperly sized ammo. Well, that would be something really stupid. And if you just you can't even really close your gun if that's the case. When you're loading your revolver, if the cylinder won't close, well, then something's probably too big. If it won't spin, something's too big. Chances of that happening, very unlikely. You could also have something get stuck in the mechanism of semi-auto. I had a peanut M&M once get in one of my guns. Long story. But you can do that to anything. That's like saying, Hyundai is as reliable as a Subaru because both of them can get a cat stuck in the belt. Yeah, well, that's not a normal thing to judge something's reliability with. That's an external issue. Still, the Subarus are more reliable. John Bologna Jr. weighed in again and said, I've also had one of my HK USPs function out of spec, 45 ammo, that a Smith & Wesson 45 revolver wouldn't function. Well, it had to be really out of spec for a 45. Plus, most revolvers won't deal with those kind of crappy calibers. Stick a 44 mag in your H&K, see how well it shoots. That's saying bad ammo. Bad ammo is, if it's that bad, you're going to notice it because your cylinder's not going to shoot and you're not going to run it. In a semi-auto, you might not know it's slightly out of spec till it starts jamming when it goes into the barrel. In fact, you probably wouldn't until the first time you tried to fire it. When you're manually racking it, you might get it in. First shot you fire, if that ammo's out of spec, far more likely you're going to have a failure. Even if it's not enough to make it to where, like in the revolver, it would still work because the cylinder's going to be a little longer than the round. Still work fine in the revolver, but it'll start jamming in the semi-auto. Spud gun. I don't know if we should take the opinion of a Ferner, but we'll read what he's got to say. Only one pistol, Manhurin MR73 lasts forever. Well, that wasn't what we asked, but he's Fern. He doesn't. I think he's having trouble following the conversation. English not the first language and everything. Because he's from Europe. I don't know what they speak over there, Europeanese or something, European something. But yes, the Manhurin is awesome. That's another gun that just proves the superiority of revolvers, in my opinion. But that looks like that's it. That's all the comments we have. Looks like we got a lot of people coming in there. A lot of good revolvers there. A lot of good semi-automatics listed there that I would say, yes, mechanically are as almost as reliable as any revolver you'd buy. And remember, you can buy cheap, crappy revolvers too. But even the cheap, crappy revolvers don't fail all that often. If you buy a cheap, crappy, like compare a Charter Arms to a semi-automatic from and I hate to say the Diamondback, you're going to see more problems with the cheap semi-auto than you are the cheap revolver. But, still, you can get a cheap revolver. But thanks everyone for coming. Thanks for your opinions. I want these chats to be mostly about your all's opinions and see if you agree with me or disagree with me. In other words, are you right or are you wrong? So if you want to have your opinion heard, put it in the comment section of this video, or better yet, come to one of our live chats and do it in person. Be part of the conversation. I hope to see you at one of our live chats soon. We do them every night at 6:00 p.m. Pacific time, except for Wednesdays when they usually start at 7 p.m. Pacific time. So I hope to see you there. Until then, remember, always carry and stay safe until I see you again.